pack, a modern Texas barn here in Seguin, Texas. Let's check this one out. Welcome back, Pack. This is Admiral from Wolfsteel Buildings, and we're out here in Seguin, Texas, checking out this Texas modern barn, we could say. It's a metal building, but it's also like a metal barn. And I think of a barn like something classic, you know, just out in the country. And we're actually in the country, but this is modern because it's got the white, it's got the black, it's got the 2-foot overhang. Just very unique. Look at this overhead doors that we're going to be talking about. It's a different design that I don't think we've had on our channel so far. So and then we got 2-inch spray foam insulation in the inside, which we're going to talk a lot about that as well. This is going to be used somehow like a part residential, part like garage, like a very open concept barn door, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys the whole story, but before we get to that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I also want to thank here Ed for recording again. Yes. Ed, are you excited for this? Because I know you got some questions you want to ask that the audience wants to know.
Yes, lots of questions I'm going to ask you, but man, this building, driving up on here, the beautiful landscape around it, it's beautiful. Let's check this one out for sure.
Let's definitely do that. And there's still a lot of action going on. I know we just finished the installation that was done yesterday, so we still have some. I think we still got just some little things, and we're going to talk about that because the whole process is what we're going to showcase in this project. Let's get this one going. Let's go. Alrighty, Pack. So before we go into the specs of this build, because this is pretty large, I can go through the whole thing, but I also like talking about the story. Okay, so the story, how did this all come about? So while we were driving over here, Ed, I know we were doing a little bit of research, you know, on his very first submission. Yes. That very first time that designer came into our inbox, and it was actually pretty similar. Yes. There was a lot of similarities. And so, and our client found us on YouTube. So if you're watching YouTube, you're probably watching, you're probably interested, you don't know. I hope that we give you inspiration. I hope we give you ideas. That's what we're trying to do with a lot of these projects. Like, this is a little bit different than what we've had on our channel, and that's what we're trying to add onto our channel. Just a little bit different, unique ideas to give you guys inspiration. Well, that's what our client got here. That was his original submission back in September, okay? And then from there, I spoke with Ernesto, who's our director of sales right now, but he was helping our client at that time. He did say, you know, there was just a lot of attention to detail of like, specifically where the doors were going to be, where the windows were going to have to specifically be. And the reason is because our client's going to be finishing off parts of this building. And what I mean by finish off is going to do internal framing, internal like drywall. And so the windows, everything has to align with their framing plan with our shell, because that's what we do. We don't do the full finish outs. Yet we don't really get involved with that. We focus more on the metal building, foundation, everything exterior, and then from here forward, our client's gonna take it off. So you can see right now they're working a lot on the plumbing of their project right now. So having said that, our client got the final architectural plans, and that was done. We locked in this contract, the order, the agreement back in December around-ish. We're in May, the very first week of May, and we just finished the spray foam yesterday. So it's like a 3 to 4 month process. Again, that involves sometimes permitting. Here, we're in no man's land, or not necessarily that, but we're in the wild, wild west of Texas where nobody messes with you. You do whatever you want. There was no permits, okay? So that's exactly why this went even faster. Then we have the processing timeline, which is typically about 3 to 4 weeks. And the reason why it's 3 to 4 weeks is because we're planning the specific location of everything. So we had a lot of windows, we definitely have a lot of doors, and making sure we're going back and forth with our client to specify the exact measurements and making sure that it also aligns with their internal design, their internal, you know, plans. That's exactly what we were, you know, the whole process there. And then all of a sudden we got this completed. Wow. Let's talk about the colors. When we were talking about with Ernesto, I know he was He was trying to convince him to do colony green. We're still trying to get that colony green. So if you're interested in colony green, give us a call, because I know we can work out something, because we want it on our channel, because we're really wanting to see the colony green with black combo. Ooh. Which we did before, but I want to see it again. Let's get this one going. Come on, guys. So let's talk about the dimensions. Okay, so this is what's cool about this project, is that this is you could call an ag barn. It's a very common terminology in the industry of metal buildings, an ag barn, a barn. And really what that just means is you got a main structure in the center, and then you got a lean-tos off of the side. Well, let's talk about the exact dimension, then I'm gonna try to remember. But I know for the centerpiece, we have a 28 wide, 55 foot long, 20 foot to the eaves. We still have a 412 pitch. So right there, we're running about 4 to 5 feet. And then the lean-tos, we got 16 wide, and then we got 55 foot long, yes. Okay? Once we go in the inside, you're gonna see there's gonna be columns in the middle. And that's because this is this type of structure this is. My opinion, this is a lot more reinforced, because you got a lot more columns, a lot more of a sturdy building, because again, you got columns in the center and then you got columns on the sides. Overall, the dimension, the square footage we have is gonna be 60 by 55. So it's 28 plus 16 plus 16, that's the width. And then the length is 55. So it's a little bit over 3,000 square feet. That is the beauty of this building. It's massive. Okay, that's why we got 4 doors in the front. Now, let's talk about like a clear span and like this type of structure. In certain cases, I would need to go in and do some math and do some running around. But in most cases, when you do a wide span or like a clear span structure of 60 wide, if it's on the red iron, we have to have a certain type of structure or a certain type of weight of and size and dimensions of beams for the rafters, okay? And so that usually increases a lot more the price. In tubular, to do a 60, we got to do a different type of truss design, okay, which involves a lot more labor, a lot more welding, a little bit more extras. That's why it's going to increase your price. So when you do an ag barn style like in tubular, and I need to do the differences in red iron, but in tubular for sure, you usually save more money and you can get more bang for your buck, okay, for the square footage. I hope that makes sense. The reason is because since we got the columns in the middle, those are supporting, and so therefore it's not a full clear span. You're gonna see in the inside there's columns in the middle, and therefore we don't have to have heavy trussing or rafters. That's the reason why. So even then, like if you ever go to like big warehouses like 100 wide or like, you know, over 80 foot wide trusses or metal buildings, if you see a columns in the middle, again, it's because of that. It actually just helps support the structure more, and then you use less heavier materials, less steel. Okay, I hope that was a good saving tip, yes. Guys. Let's get into the color scheme. So this is definitely white. I know we offer 2 types of white in our red iron, our PBR panels. The whites, I believe, are polar white, and marketing helped me out with the other white.
Combo.
And everything is white. The roof is Galvalume and the white walls, and then we got the black doors. As far as Galvalume for the roof, that is actually very common in Texas. Again, the Galvalume reflects a lot of that solar heat. There's a name for it, but it reflects a lot and it's very, very common. Now, white also is a good color to be able to really help your building to stay a little bit more cooler than darker colors. But hey man, I love the black here.
Oh man, the black just adds a little, you know, that pop to it, you know. Just like in any other buildings we've seen, the black and white combo is just one of those special ones.
Perfect. And yeah, like it just makes it like, okay, this is, I'm focused on the door for the entrance, yes. Especially when you're driving up. It really makes the building stand out. Sure. This is what we call the shaker panel. These are R10. These are the heavier insulated doors. They are heavy. If I'm not mistaken for the dimensions, I believe these are 10 by 10 because marketing helped us out. I can't remember the dimensions. There's so many dimensions here. So if it's 20 foot in the eaves, the connection here down to here, it looks like it's gonna come down to 10 if that's the case. So it must be from 12 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit higher, 13 to 10. Do keep in mind for your lean-tos, this is what we call a step-down lean-to. We can do continuous lean-to where the lean-tos continue off of the center pitch. They continue off of it. So usually that will involve a little bit more where it almost looks from the outside. It looks like it's just a single, one main structure. Here is a step down, and when we say step down means that there's a step down for the lean-to connect off of the main structure and then goes down there. So if you're looking into adding the lean-to, usually those are the terminologies we will use. Like, is it a continuous lean-to you want, or is it a step down lean-to that you want? And that's exactly what we have here. Man, so this was spray foamed yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking here, we got the foam gap enclosures.
See, no oozing. There's
no oozing.
I don't see any.
I don't see any insulation that came out. I think I saw a little bit right here.
Let me see.
On the side.
Okay. Yep.
You see that?
A tiny bit.
And you can see the critters are trying to come in. I know we have a little bit of the base plate that came out here, but the critters are trying to go in, and you can tell they're trying to find a way. And they did go. One just went in there. But that's another thing I want to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about the nature about metal buildings. Okay, just like anything, everything has its pros and it has its cons. Everything. It don't matter whether we're talking about post frame, metal buildings, traditional homes, whatever. Everything has its pros and its cons. Just like wood has its pros and its cons, metal has its pros and its cons. One of the challenges with metal, like metal panels, is that it has ribs. Okay, and these ribs have openings where critters can come in. And that's the biggest challenge. The beautiful thing about spray foam is that critters don't really like it, so they won't really try to nest in it. Well, it depends on the product, but the most product right now for spray foam, they don't really do that. So it definitely helps to seal. And then another thing is the foam gap enclosures. And if you're seeing it from there, the foam gap enclosures also are installed so that way you don't have any oozing, but also so you don't have any critters coming in. And then let's talk about base trim. Base trim is this trim that you're seeing here that is kicking out here. So here, that way the critters are not trying to come in through the ribs. So this is also helping as another way for critters to not go in. A lot of insurance is important, especially if you really just don't want spiders in there, insects going in. That's just as much as possible. This is how you do it. Okay, so foam gap enclosures, base trim, insulation like spray foam. That's the thing that I love about spray foam. It just seals.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about the panels that we have here. What is the panels that we're working with?
Yeah, so this is the PBR panel. Okay, so this is like the most common for red iron buildings. For us, that's what we use as standard. And it's a 26 gauge PBR panel. It's got the 40-year paint warranty. So it's on the higher end of the panels. And usually we use the paint SMP, I believe that's what you call, which is the higher grade paint. And yeah, so, and they're usually 3 foot. So you can see here, here's a connection. We got a 3 foot panel.
Awesome. As we keep going and work our way around the building, we see there's this overhang. What is the overhang for the viewers at home?
Yeah, so for the overhang, okay, so if you want to make your building stand out, overhangs make it, at least in the residential aspect, even in commercial aspects, just to give it a little bit of a different edge. 2 foot overhang or bigger is what I would recommend. And what we do there is we actually install a soffit panel. But it's not really a soffit, it's just reverse PBR panel. That's what we do. And reverse is basically just the ribs, instead of going this way, the paint is on the opposite side. And as you can see here, that's basically installing 2 panels. The one that's coming on top, and then the one in the bottom. And then there's a lot of trimming that's getting worked on for the rake, for the fascia of the building. Keep in mind, it's a little bit of an extra investment. And it's because of the additional labor, additional work that has to be done, especially when we're talking about gutters. We actually have the gutters, but we don't have downspouts. We just did a hole because our client's going to be installing his own custom gutters. As far as overhangs go, when you are selecting overhangs, you will notice that there is going to be a little bit of an extra investment when it comes down to overhangs. So it's kind of one of those things that just involves a little bit more labor, not even a little bit, a lot of labor, a lot of attention to detail. And that has to do because we're setting, for example, on this, you're seeing that the panels are running like this. It's just one panel, no problem. But as we go on the side, you're gonna see that, you know, we have to be installing every 3 foot a single panel and the underlining, or like as a soffit. And so it just involves a lot of additional work. Okay, so it's very custom. Another thing you're seeing here is, obviously we did install the gutters, but then you can see up here, the point, instead of we didn't do the downspouts because our client's gonna be doing his own custom nice downspout. It's probably gonna be, I haven't seen exactly, but we did the, you know, the cutout, and therefore that's where the client's gonna be installing their own custom gutters or downspouts, okay?
Alrighty, and then Abdul, talk to us about the windows that, I guess, did we provide, did the client provide, what?
Okay, so this is actually something that is questioned or asked a lot, okay? Especially when you're building something residential, you don't want just standard windows that we offer. So a lot of times what happens is our client can provide their own windows, and we actually encourage that. Own windows, own doors, for service doors, because there's so many designs out there, so much inspiration. You could just go on Pinterest and then all of a sudden, like, you got a bunch of inspiration. And so, having said that, we actually encourage that if you want to get your own windows, get them. We want nail fin type windows for new construction. Nail fin marketing helped me out. That way you guys understand the type of windows we actually need to actually install correctly. And then our client for this project, he brought, I believe, 8 of those, somewhere around there. Yeah. I think 8, right?
Yes.
And then we provided 6. And I'm not exactly sure which ones we provided. We probably provided the ones up top, and our client got like this bigger of these windows. I believe maybe our client got them. I'm not exactly sure. I would need to ask Javier, our coordinator for our Red Iron project, so he's more aware of that. Also, make sure you have them before we arrive. Okay, so it's very important that you have them before we arrive. That way we can make sure we do, you know, the frame correctly. And not only that, we can install them. We charge a certain install fee, we can install them. And it's really important that we install them while we're here. That way we can flash everything correctly. We can put the trim around it correctly. We can flash it correctly. You can see here we have a special trim that we use, you know, for all our flashing. And that's important because metal buildings, one of the challenges, again, pros and cons for metal buildings, is flashing to make sure that no water is seeping in, especially in windows. That's a very, very common. It's also very common in doors, and it's very common in like overhead doors, garage doors. However, we do our notch detail. Here, our client requested something a little bit more special. He wanted the ramp. It's like, okay, we'll do the ramp. It's not our style, but the client requested it and we made it happen. So if you do want the ramp, just ask us, we'll make it happen, but it's not our standard. Another standard that we have is the insulation. And man, you ready for this one?
Yeah, let's go check it out right now.
Perfect. So here we have 2-inch insulation for spray foam all the way around. Can you hear the echo?
Yeah, we can hear the echo a little bit.
You can hear the echo here. Again, it's closed cell insulation. Open cell is not recommended for sheet panel, okay? Closed cell is recommended. From there, once you put like 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch closed cell, then you can go in with the open cell, which is a little bit more cost effective. But open cell is not recommended for sheet metal panels. I know you're wondering right now, and I know you asked Ed,
yes, I was
why is this insulated?
Yeah, why is it insulated?
So again, this construction, there's so many moving parts. Here, our team is instructed to follow instructions to the T, and our instruction was you spray foam everything, especially your frame is important in certain cases. So one of the challenges with metal or steel is that there's it conducts energy, okay? And we're talking about temperature. So if you don't insulate also your frame, because it's touching the outside, there's not a thermal break, you could see some condensation when it comes down to your frames, although you might insulate your panels. I know that's actually, I've gone through that scenario in the upper states. It's not very common here in Texas, but it can happen. However, with red iron buildings, because we use 8-inch, 6-inch purlins, that means that in order for that to transfer, it's gonna be very hard, okay? But our instructions say you cover everything, all the framing. This was not necessary, okay? But, you know, they followed instructions. However, they did a great job. And again, our clients are gonna be using these posts as a line where he's gonna be creating a nice frame around.
Yes, I believe he also said that he was gonna build like a staircase as well. And
that is correct. We were just talking with Ernesto, who has the whole story with our client. It's so tall, guys. This is 20 foot tall again to the eaves. And again, we got the windows up there, and there's a reason why we got those windows. He's planning to possibly do like a loft, and then going up there is where he's gonna be accessing the top, or like being able to see the nice view that he has out here in Seguin, Texas. Wow, 2-inch insulation, that's what we have. So here's the thing, it's not gonna make your building cooler, it's not gonna make your building hotter. It's just gonna stay in a certain temperature. So once you install the HVAC system, mini splits, whatever, that's what you're building here. It's like a Yeti. And then whatever you have in there, if it's whether it's a hot tea or ice cold water, it's just gonna stay that way for longer. That's what insulation is, okay? And that's exactly what's being done here. It's just a full seal, and that's how it feels here. It's just like whatever the temperature is right now in here, it's just gonna stay that way, unless we get a mini split in here.
Yeah. What do you think it would play a factor if he was to go with a 1-inch spray foam? Would you still, you know, be able to feel that, you know, that the temperature? Because right now with the 2-inch, man, it feels great in here. Right? It's not that hot. It feels great. What do you think?
So 1-inch, okay, so 1-inch I would recommend if it's just a garage, workshop, you're just kind of hanging out here and there. But if you're gonna be in here for long, 2-inch is my recommendation, minimum, because you got R14 on the walls all the way around. Keep in mind, to really meet your energy codes, I think in the roof you have to be at R35, R38, and the sides you have to be at R14. So a lot of times you accomplish your energy code by actually, like say when you frame out, you do bat insulation inside your frame walls, wherever you're building your rooms or whatnot. So that is how you meet the insulation, the energy code there. But R14, I would recommend it if you're doing it more like a hangout, like a, you know, minimum to do the 2-inch. You can do even more to get at a higher insulation. But just keep in mind the R values. You still need more R value. And then also the square footage. So I'm not an HVAC expert. If you're an HVAC, what is your thoughts? Give us some comments. Help the people that are watching understand more of that aspect.
Also, and then another thing I did want to mention is obviously the I-beams, but what is the spacing between each one of them?
Yes, so usually our spacing for weld up buildings is 20. Here, our client wanted a little bit more peace of mind, more reinforced. We're at 13 with 6. Just super solid.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not exactly sure the size of the I-beam and the weight specifically, but I know we did go on this is maybe about 10-inch. To 12-inch, and it looks more like a 12-inch.
So in other terms, very sturdy. It's not going
super sturdy. No, man. Yeah. There's no way, man. I-beams, welded, 13-foot spacings. No, man. No. So even if you're an engineer watching, you know that this is a lot more reinforced, especially for being a weld-up building. Yeah. Now, I do want to talk about the doors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the doors. So marketing help us out. These are like 12 by 12s, if I'm not mistaken. But clarify with that, the building is 20 foot tall, guys. If the normal tracks go around like this, you can see here, just a normal track that goes in a 90-degree angle. If you have such a high eaves, it's our standards, automatically we will make these high tracks. So this is a high track. So basically the tracks will go up, which is one of the questions that is asked, oh, like it's gonna take up space. Yes, here when I open it, it definitely will take up space, but up here it won't. So this is the advantage of having high tracks. It is an extra cost than the regular tracks. And if I'm not mistaken, They're about maybe from like $500 to $1,500, somewhere around there. It just depends the size. But I think it's totally worth it. What do you think, Ed?
Man, I think you just get that space above. You know, you can drive in with your truck and not have to worry about, you know, the height, you know.
And again, openers, boom, boom, boom. And then we got the, yeah, definitely the openers on every single door, automatic. And that's the other beauty that I like about having openers for garage doors is like, say it malfunctions or anything, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, it's easy to find just a garage door local guy that can come in and immediately fix it. That's one of the advantages of garage door openers over like roll-up door openers, which we don't offer. Again, is because they're not so common out there. It's kind of like when you buy a domestic vehicle and then you buy a vehicle that's come from out there, the cost to repair is a little bit different. So it's something to really keep in mind there. Lift masters, what did Argeni say? Argeni say it also tells you the temperature.
Yeah. So, Abdul, we made our way around the building. Talk to us a little bit about the foundation as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the foundation. So this has, if marketing help us out, this foundation has a lot of internal beams, a lot of support. You can do a 4-inch slab and have it supported with a lot of internal footings like we have here, and that makes this building, this foundation super solid. Because sometimes, you know, clients do ask, oh, should I go with the 6-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch? I mean, there's so many ways you can design it to still get the strength that you want. Here, we definitely, it's residential. It's normal vehicles coming in here, 4-inch slab, but we also have a lot of internal beams, okay? But our client did his own site prep, okay? And you can imagine why. Our client, what he's trying to accomplish is he's gonna live here for maybe about a couple months to a year to a couple years while he builds his like dream home. So he already started doing a lot of grading. I believe the home is gonna be on that side. But he already started doing a lot of grading. He had all the grading, the prep ready for us to just come and do the foundation. So a lot of times when you guys get a quote and you ask, hey, you know, what's the cost for the foundation? Well, we can give you the foundation price, you know, immediately. However, the prep, the site prep, we can't. We have to come to your site, take out a laser, and we start doing a lot of analysis. So here you can tell he had to do a retaining wall, which he did do like blocks, which is a little bit more, I actually like it. Our client did like a retaining wall all the way around to be able to protect the foundation from erosion. Because once you have, especially with such a high elevation, you can see over there, we got about 4 to 5 feet. That's a lot of fill that needed to be brought. There is a lot of prep that our client had to do, but he also did it all the way around his whole property. And you can see on those blocks, stone that he already set up. Again, prep can vary so much. You can be from just a normal $1,000 with fill and prep work to going to this is a lot, okay? All this probably was in the 20s or more. So just know that it just depends on your site. And especially down here in San Antonio area, we're in hill country where there's a lot of change of elevations. There's a little bit, that's the only challenge. However, one of the beauties that I love about the San Antonio area, Austin area, is that the ground is a lot more solid. So it's solid ground you're setting a nice strong foundation on, compared to like McKinney area, all that area of Dallas up north, where I know Willie calls it black gumbo is what is on the ground, which is just basically clay that has a lot of movement, which gives you a lot of challenges with foundations. So the importance of knowing your soils is extremely important, especially to set up a foundation that will last you a lifetime, especially for something like this, which is part, like in a way, residential. Now, another thing that I'm just noticing here, being very honest, is that we got that, you know, the downspouts are done on the main structure. Marketing help us out. However, on the lean-to, I can tell he's connecting it down here to these pipes to get the water drained away somewhere out there, I'm pretty sure. But he's gonna be connecting them.
That's
here.
Smart, very smart.
Very smart. A lot of planning, a lot of thoughtful. What you want to do is you want to minimize any erosion around your foundation. That's why gutters and downspouts are great, especially when you can connect the downspout with the drain pipe that gets that water away. And then you can control what, you know, some water to have your foundation a little bit moist, a little bit where it's not just fully dry, but you have a little bit more control rather than letting, you know, just a bunch of water coming in, especially when you don't have gutters. The water's just falling with your vertical panels falling, and then it just starts digging trenches around your foundation, which can definitely affect your foundation.
Yes.
All the details, all the color matching screws is just a standard for all our products actually. It's our standard. Nice windows. Again, he got the black frame on the windows. We also brought the windows that we brought were also black, but he just got his own sizing. The trim, man, it's just beautiful. Foam gap enclosure. It's just a lot of detail that goes into our red iron projects. That's what I mean. Like, I like to explain that sometimes the differences between tubular and red iron. Tubular, I would just say it's more like an analogy. It's like a Toyota. It's a really good stout building. Meets your loads, your winds, whatever it is that you got to meet. That just has to be done for both products. However, it's more like a Toyota. Okay, it's a really good product that will last you. On the red iron, it's more like we could say like a Lexus, the higher end. It just comes a little bit more with heavier materials, higher panel warranty, like the 40-year panels, and a lot more attention to detail in the sense that because we're out here fabricating and we're building here for like a week to 2 weeks. This took like about 2 weeks, two and a half weeks. It's just a different process, okay? And that's just kind of the differences between a tubular and red iron. And that's the beauty of red iron. Like, that's why we can do 2-foot overhang. We can do a lot of customizations because everything is really planned out and we're out here for a long time. It gives us that ability to do that. Now, I know we're not fully finished here. We just finished the spray foam. You can see the trash over there. Part of your package is we come in and we also take away all our trash. So we're still waiting on our junk removal to come in and take out, and even the porta potty. So we also provide a porta potty, and you'll see that. That way we're not invading your privacy, and we're protecting your property. So
Awesome.
we also do that. That is just something to keep in mind. That's just kind of the beauty of like working with us, is that we just make sure that everything goes smoothly, and we handle everything where everything is just all in one. If anything is wrong, you only hold me accountable. You hold me accountable, and you're not dealing with multiple contracts. Oh, and then there's pointing fingers. So that's kind of the pros of working with us. Definitely cons. We're probably going to be a little bit more than if you were being the general contractor. I mean, that's just the nature of it. So just keep that in mind, guys. Aside from that, Ed, are you ready to go to the next one?
Yes, yeah, we have about another 2-hour drive for the next building, so I'm ready. But this one was for sure, I'm gonna be honest, on here on the channel, top 5 on my list. Maybe,
oh, really?
Yeah, because maybe it's just, you know, we don't really see a lot of the ag barns like these or type of buildings, so this one was a special one.
It has that edge, man. The foundation, we did the notch detail around the concrete. I know we didn't talk a lot about the concrete because the building really just pops out, but the concrete's also really, really good. Man, it's just, this is a beautiful building. I will say, I'm not gonna say it's in my top 5. I've seen so many buildings all over for quite a bit, but I do love it. I do like it, and from there, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And what else, Ed?
Yeah, and I mean, a big shout out to all the crew members that worked on this project.
Let me give them a shout out.
Yeah, give them a shout out.
Thank you for reminding me, guys. Big shout out to our concrete team, our foreman for Erasmo, who did this project. For our foreman for this project, Avila, thank you again for doing such amazing work. And then also shout out to our whole team. Again, from our processing, coordination, all that. Thanks again for making this a reality. And big shout out to Ernesto with the Alpha Wolves, which has now been dissolved. But shout out for making this client's dream a reality, because that's the exciting part. That you see it in paper and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, right here.
Yes. And then a big thank you for the client for, you know, allowing us to get some footage of this amazing building. Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot, again, for giving us the opportunity. Hopefully we can come back whenever you've already finished the inside, you're already enjoying it. We can come and have a beer. Well, yeah, if it's a Friday, but if not, we can have some coffee or some water. But thanks again for giving us that opportunity, and I hope that this is not the last time. So guys, we're heading to Medina, and let's get this going.
Pack! Stay up to date with everything we're up to by checking out our social media. You can find us at Wolfsteel Buildings for behind the scenes actions. We share our latest projects, updates on what the team is working on, and all the exciting progress happening in real time. Don't miss out on the action and give us a follow.